My captain said, "You're not brave enough," so I ran into the burning tank. That's how it started. One sentence, thrown like a stone in front of the entire platoon. Captain Merrick didn't yell it. He didn't even sound angry. Just dismissive, like it was a fact. Like I was the weak link and he was just stating the obvious. We were outside the impact zone, about 70 meters from the wreck. Tank 37 had taken a direct hit and gone dark. Flames, smoke, no comms. We didn't know who inside was alive, if anyone. But I knew Dawson was in that tank. He was my crewmate before reassignment. My friend. He taught me everything I knew about turret systems. We were told to hold position, wait for suppression, let the blaze die out. But time was running out. I was halfway into my vest when Merrick turned toward me. "What are you doing, Keen?" "I'm going in." "You're not brave enough for that." Everyone heard it. Even the medics stopped moving. I didn't say anything. I just ran. Gear half-clipped, mask tight. I moved across the dirt with one thought. Dawson's still in there. Maybe dead, maybe dying. But I couldn't stand there while they waited for permission to save him. I reached the tank as flames were licking out from the side hatch. The turret was blackened, the barrel cracked. The hatch was jammed, warped from the heat. I pulled with everything I had. It wouldn't budge. I slammed my shoulder into it. Once, twice. On the third hit, it gave. The inside was worse. Smoke. Sparks. A low groan from somewhere near the floor. I dropped in. "Dawson!" I shouted. No response. I checked the gunner's seat. Empty. Loader. Empty. Then I saw movement near the commander's chair. He was slumped, legs pinned under debris. His helmet was gone. Blood on his temple. He looked up at me, barely conscious. "Keen?" "I got you," I said. The heat was unbearable. My gloves were already starting to smoke. I pulled at the metal panel pinning his legs. It didn't move. I wedged my boot under it and heaved. Pain ripped through my back, but the weight shifted just enough. Dawson groaned as I grabbed him under the arms and dragged. "Hang on." I don't remember climbing out. I remember the wind hitting my face, someone shouting, hands grabbing us both. Then darkness. When I woke up, I was in the field tent. Merrick stood at the foot of the cot. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then finally, without looking me in the eye, he muttered, "You proved me wrong." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Dawson survived. That was the first thing I asked when I woke again, hours later. Clearer this time. My back felt like it had been hit with a sledgehammer, and the skin on both arms was raw despite the gloves. But I didn't care. "Dawson?" The medic nodded. "Fractured leg, smoke damage. He'll make it." That was enough. The rest of the platoon didn't look at me the same after that. Not like a hero. Something else. Quiet glances, small nods. Even the guys who never spoke to me before were suddenly clearing space at the mess tent, asking if I needed anything. But I didn't need their respect. I needed to breathe. Captain Merrick hadn't said anything since that moment by my cot. Just disappeared after muttering that I proved him wrong. That was fine. I didn't do it for him. I did it because I couldn't live with watching someone burn alive when I could have done something. A few days later, we were prepping for another movement east. Command wanted to push deeper into the ridge zone. Tensions were high. Patrols were tighter. We didn't have spare bodies anymore. Anyone who could hold a weapon was on rotation. That's when I got word. I was reassigned back to tanks. Merrick signed the order himself. "Sergeant Keen, return to Armor Ops." I didn't ask questions, just packed. They paired me with a new crew, Sergeant Rios, the gunner, Private Kern, loader, and myself, back in the commander's seat. First op was routine. Escort patrol through a debris corridor. Rios was sharp, Kern quiet, but precise. It felt right, natural, like I never left. But I could feel the pressure now, the weight of eyes. Everyone expected something from me, like charging into a burning tank once made me invincible. It didn't. I still had nightmares. I still smelled smoke where there wasn't any. I still saw Dawson's face, not when I pulled him out, but when I found him slumped, barely conscious, about to become ash. Bravery wasn't some medal you put on and carried with pride. It was a bruise that stayed under the skin. And now, Merrick was watching me, every movement, every decision I made with the new crew. He said nothing, but he was there, quiet, waiting. Part of me wondered if he still doubted me. Part of me didn't care. We got the alert 3 days later. Convoy ambush, 6 miles out. 1 tank disabled, 2 trucks on fire. No aerial support inbound. They needed armor backup. Fast. Our tank was closest. Merrick's voice came through comms. "Keen, your call." It was the first time he'd ever said those words. I didn't hesitate. "We're moving," because this time I wasn't running into fire alone. I was leading others into it. And I needed to be ready. We rolled out in under 4 minutes. No extra briefing, no second guesses. Just gears grinding and steel moving. Rios handled the gun. Kern double-checked the loadouts. I rode up in the commander hatch, headset on, scanning the terrain as it blurred past. The convoy site came into view fast. Too fast. Smoke was already rising. One of the supply trucks was engulfed, flames licking the air. The second was half-tipped in a ditch, tires shredded. And the disabled tank, 4-2, sat dead in the center of the road, turret locked, tracks blown clean off. Enemy fighters were still in the area. I could see muzzle flashes from the ridge above the road. Small arms, maybe an RPG if we pushed in careless. Rios radioed, "Sarge, you want us to return fire?" "Negative," I said. "Cover first. Precision only. We're not wasting rounds." The roads were too tight for backup. Our tank was the only armor in the zone, and the convoy survivors were pinned behind the burning wreckage. If we didn't move, they'd be overrun. I scanned the wreckage again, focusing on tank 4-2. I saw movement. "Someone's still inside," I said. Rios paused. "You sure?" "Commander hatch is open." Someone waved. Kern's voice came through, low. "Could be bait." "Could be." "Didn't matter. Cover me." I didn't wait for a response. I grabbed my sidearm, jumped down, and sprinted. It felt familiar. Terrifyingly so. Same rhythm, same heat, same chaos, same voice in my head asking, what if it's already too late? I reached the base of the tank. The armor was scorched. Heat was pouring out of every seam, but the side hadn't caught fire yet. I grabbed the hatch and pulled myself up. "Inside! Call out!" A muffled thump, then a voice, strained. "Down here! I'm stuck! Driver's seat!" I dropped into the hull. It was Corporal Brenner, one of Merrick's new guys. His leg was pinned under a collapsed brace, fuel leaking nearby. Not enough to ignite yet, but close. He looked up at me, blinking through soot. "Keen?" "Yeah." "You're lucky." He coughed. "That's what they told Dawson." I didn't reply. I pried at the brace, digging my heels in and pulling with everything I had. It didn't budge. My arms screamed. My back felt like it would rip apart. But I didn't stop. I never stopped. It gave. Not much. Just enough. I yanked Brenner out, his leg dragging. Then I heard it. The high-pitched whine of something incoming. Rocket. We had seconds. I threw Brenner up toward the hatch, shoved him with everything I had. I didn't climb out. I launched out. We hit the ground behind the tank just as the RPG smashed into the front hull. The explosion rocked the earth. But we were alive. Rios was already shouting over comms. "Clear! Area's clear! They're retreating!" Brenner stared at me wide-eyed. "You did it again." "No," I said, breathless. "I just didn't stop." The blast left my ears ringing. We lay there. For a few seconds, dust raining down, adrenaline doing all the work my body couldn't. Brenner coughed, tried to sit up, failed. I helped him roll to his side, checked his leg. Bad fracture, but not bleeding out. "You're gonna be all right," I said. He looked at me, dazed. "You went back in." "Had to." He chuckled weakly. "That makes twice now." I didn't answer. Rios rolled up in the tank moments later, hatch open. He jumped down with Kern close behind and started checking us both. "Medics on the way," Rios said. "Convoy survivors are safe. We cleared the ridge." Kern nodded. "They saw what you did, you know." "I wasn't putting on a show," I said. "I know," Kern replied. "That's why it meant something." They loaded Brenner into the evac truck when it arrived. As they lifted him in, he grabbed my wrist. "You didn't even flinch," he said. "The tank was on fire." I looked him in the eye. I flinched. I just moved anyway. That night back at camp, Captain Merrick called me in. He didn't stand behind his desk like he used to. He sat, arms folded, expression unreadable. "You broke formation," he said flatly. "I made a call," I replied. "You disobeyed direct orders." "No. You said your call. I made it." He paused, then stood, walked to the cabinet in the corner and pulled out a folder. He opened it, handed me a single sheet. Recommendation for citation, valor under fire. Commendation level, Silver Star. I stared at it. "I didn't ask for this." "I know," Merrick said. "That's why it matters." He didn't sit down again, just walked to the door, stopped, and looked back. "You remember when I said you weren't brave enough?" "Yeah," I said. "I said that because I thought you didn't have it in you. Thought you'd freeze when it counted. Most do. And now?" Merrick's face was unreadable. "Now I think I misjudged the only man in this company I'd follow into fire." Then he walked out. I stood there for a long time, the paper in my hand, not knowing if I should be proud or angry. He hadn't apologized. He didn't need to, because it wasn't about what he thought anymore. It was about what I knew. I wasn't brave because I wanted to be. I was brave because no one else moved, and I couldn't let someone die waiting. The next day, Brenner was evac'd to the rear base for surgery. He saluted me from the stretcher, and I returned it without a word. Back in the barracks, Rios left a note on my bunk. They used to say, "You're not brave enough." Now they ask, "What would Keene do?" I didn't keep the note, but I remembered every word. They stopped second-guessing me after that. No more sideways glances. No more whispers about whether I was the kind of soldier who broke under pressure. I wasn't. Not anymore. Merrick stopped calling me kid. He started calling me sergeant. Even when no one else was around. And when higher-ups visited the base 2 days later, he did something I didn't expect. He put me front and center during the ops briefing. He didn't introduce me like a subordinate. He said, "This is Sergeant Keene. He'll walk you through how we kept a burning convoy from turning into a massacre." I walked them through the maneuver, tactical decisions, ridge angles, cover, split timing. But what I didn't say, what none of them asked, was the simple part. I just ran toward the thing everyone else avoided. That was it. No hero speech, no strategy. I moved because no one else did. Later that night, Rios found me at the maintenance yard. I was elbow deep in tank wiring, checking the power feeds. Didn't want to be in a room full of people pretending they'd seen it coming. He leaned against the turret, arms crossed. "You know, Kearns. Trying to name the tank after you now." I shook my head. "Don't do that." "Why not? You've saved more lives in that thing than most do in a full deployment." I tightened a bolt. "Because tanks burn. Names fade. Stories get rewritten." He was quiet for a beat. "Then what? Do you want?" I looked up at him. "I want every guy in my squad to believe they can move when it matters." "That's it?" "That's everything." He nodded once, then tossed me a rag. "Wipe your hands, Sergeant. Merrick wants you leading. The next recon. Solo?" "Negative. Full squad. But he said you choose the path. You're op." I paused. "He's trusting me like that?" "He's not stupid," Rios said. "He knows who shows up when the sky falls." The next morning I planned the route. Not because I wanted the control, but because I knew what it felt like to have none. I'd lived it. I'd climbed out of it. I'd burned through it. And now I was making sure no one else had to do it alone. When the recon started, Kern was on my right. Rios had the gun. A new guy, Lewin, was learning the ropes. He asked, "So this tank's got a history?" I didn't answer. Kern smirked and said, "Yeah, but it's not about the tank. It's about who runs toward the fire." Lewin blinked. "Oh, Keene." I didn't nod. I didn't smile. I just kept moving, because fire doesn't wait. And now neither did I. The recon op ran smooth. Too smooth. I knew that feeling. The tension just under the surface, like something waiting for a trigger. We'd swept 2 sectors without resistance. The ridge pass was quiet. The village we passed through abandoned. Every window empty. Too empty. I kept scanning as we rolled through Sector 3, eyes on the far slope. "Rios," I said over comms. "Check that rise east side. Something's off." Rios adjusted the turret, scanned thermal. Nothing on heat, he said. Flat. I didn't believe it. Cut engine. Hold position. We stopped. Stillness pressed in, and then we saw it. Not heat. Reflection. Sun catching something metallic just inside a drainage trench up ahead. Too clean to be debris. Too deliberate to be natural, I called it. Ambush position. Topside. Ridge. Disperse formation. We backed the tank, just as the first shot cracked. Sniper fire. One round slammed into the rear plating, too high to penetrate, but too close to be lucky. Lewin ducked inside, heart pounding. Jesus, was that for us? Yeah, I said. They want us boxed in. Kern radioed the second vehicle. Pull wide. Rourke's calling it. The second unit hesitated, then moved on his word. That was new. Last month, they wouldn't have trusted me to call a water break. Now I was leading them out of kill zones. We repositioned around a rock shelf, enough to get elevation. I took lead, ordering dismount for cover movement. Rios laid suppressing fire. Then I grabbed Lewin. You ever move on a ridge under live rounds? No, Sergeant. Follow me close. Don't think. Just move when I move. I took point. We advanced low and fast using the slope's natural cover. 2 shots rang out, missed by inches. I dropped behind a boulder, eyes scanning, breath steady. Found the shooter, top left, tucked behind an outcrop just above our line of sight. I marked it. Radioed Rios. Mark 70 up, 40 left, single target. Fire on my call. Copy. I counted down. 3, 2, fire. The shell screamed. Overhead. Direct hit. Silence followed. Then the radio crackled. All clear on top. The ambush had failed. We secured the trench. Old munitions, a broken comms rig, and 3 dead fighters left behind. It wasn't a full squad. It was a test. They were seeing how we'd react. They saw what I wanted them to see. We didn't flinch. Back at base, Lewin cornered me in the prep tent. Why didn't you duck when they fired? I did, I said. Not the first one. You watched the ridge. I looked him in the eye. You don't always need to be first to fire. You just need to be first to see. He nodded, slower this time. That's why they follow you, isn't it? I didn't answer. Because I wasn't trying to be followed. I was just making sure someone moved when the fire started. And now they moved with me. Word about the ambush spread fast. Not because of the kill count, there wasn't much, but because of how it ended. Clean, coordinated, no casualties. Rourke's call, Rourke's plan, Rourke's win. Merrick called me in the next morning. He had a file open on his desk. Reports, maps, photos. He looked up at me. Command noticed. Noticed what, sir? That your squad doesn't lose people. That you're not afraid to. Lead from the front. That you react before the fire reaches the rest of us. I stayed quiet. Merrick flipped the folder closed. They're asking if you want to rotate out. My stomach dropped. He clarified. Promotion. Base side. Train new. Armor squads, no field time, safe. I nodded slowly. And if I stay, you keep leading. More risk, less sleep, more chances to burn. I thought about it. About the 2 tanks I'd pulled people out of. About the fire. About Brenner, Dawson, Lewin. And about the ones who wouldn't move unless someone did first. I stay, I said. Merrick didn't argue. He just stood, reached into the cabinet and handed me a patch. Silver thread on black. Special Armor Lead Unit. Salut. Effective immediately, he said. Your call sign is now Iron 3. I held the patch, fingers tight around the edge. It didn't feel like an honor. It felt like a weight. But I was ready. The next mission wasn't recon. It was response. A distress beacon. Remote site. Civilian engineering team pinned down during. A resupply op. 2 trucks, light escort, no armor. We were 2 hours out when the call came. I gave the order. Rios, Kern, gear up. Lewin, check the secondary belts. We roll fast, no delay. They didn't ask questions. They just moved. This time we weren't riding toward a fight. We were riding toward people who had no one else. When we arrived, the road was a graveyard. Burned tires, splintered crates, 1 truck still smoking. A body near the wheel. Civilian, shot. I scanned quickly. 5 heat signatures in the ravine below, grouped tight, pinned behind a rock ledge. Rios reported movement east. Keen. 2 hostiles, Snipers. No clear shot. I didn't hesitate. Deploy. Smoke. Kern. Set hatch lock. Lewin, you're with me. Going in? He asked. Always. We jumped down and moved through the smoke. Short bursts, tight angles. Every step burned with adrenaline. The civilians were trembling, clutching radio, gear and medkits. No weapons, no defense. I pulled them out one by one, covering them with my vest, returning fire only when we had a clean exit. No hesitation. Because once you've run into one burning tank, you don't freeze anymore. You move. We pulled all 5 out, not one lost. That night back at base, Kern handed me a metal plate. Salvaged from the side of the tank I pulled Brenner out of, on it, engraved in rough letters, "Brave enough." I didn't hang it, I didn't frame it. I bolted it to the inside hatch of my tank, where I could see it before every mission. And remember what got me here. A week after the rescue op, a letter arrived for me, handwritten. No sender name on the front. I unfolded it slowly. The handwriting was messy, rushed. It was from Dawson. I heard what you did. Twice. I don't have the words, Keen. I wish I could have said this to your face. You didn't just save me. You became what none of us were ready to be. Proud of. You always was. Even when they weren't. D. I folded it, tucked it into the inside flap of my chest rig. Didn't say a word about it to anyone. That kind of message doesn't need an audience. Just a heartbeat. Captain Merrick's tone toward me changed again. Not softer, just different. He started sending junior officers to me for mentoring, armor leadership, movement under fire, how to build trust in a crew fast. Because they listen to you, he said. And because they should. At first I hated the idea. I wasn't a teacher, but the first soldier that came through was barely out of training. Nervous eyes. Didn't even know where to stand inside a tank under live pressure. I didn't bark at him, didn't test him. Rode with him, showed him how to pace his calls, feel the hum of the engine, know the shell load by weight. He started learning fast. The next morning, I caught him staring at the hatch plate, the one I bolted with "Brave enough." He didn't ask what it meant. He just nodded like he understood. That was enough. Then came the hardest mission we'd faced. 3 squads pinned. 2 vehicles down. Enemy forces moving fast with technicals and RPGs. We were called in as support. Last resort support, Rourke's team. Iron 3. Merrick came down to the staging area himself. "This one's bad," he said. "You'll take point." "Copy," I said. He looked at me hard. "It's not about being brave this time. It's about being smart," I nodded. "I'm both now." We rolled out in formation. The road was littered with wreckage. The radio calls were panicked, scattered, but my voice was steady. "Rios, mark left ridge. Kern, ready all he rounds. Lewin, you watch my eyes and move when I move." They didn't. Say "Roger." They didn't say "Yes, Sergeant," they just moved. We hit the kill zone and I made the call. Split maneuver. 1 tank forward, 1 flanking. Infantry cover by drone feed. We cut the enemy formation in half in under 7 minutes. 0 friendly casualties. 3 wounded. All evac'd. When we returned, command was waiting. I stepped out of the hatch. Merrick was standing there. Could have gone bad. But it didn't, I said. He nodded once. Then he said something I didn't expect. "You're not the soldier I thought you'd be." I raised an eyebrow. "Still not brave enough?" He actually smiled. "No, you're more than brave. You're the one who runs in and brings everyone back out. That's rarer than courage." I didn't smile, just turned back to the tank, touched the hatch plate once and whispered, "Brave enough." The commendation came 2 days later. Silver Star confirmed. Ceremony scheduled. I didn't want it, not because I didn't value it, but because it didn't belong to just me. It belonged to every soldier I ran into fire for, every tank that burned, every crew that thought they were seconds away from dying until someone moved when everyone else froze. Merrick approached me before the ceremony. Quiet again, always quiet when it mattered. "You going to show?" I nodded. "It's not about the medal." "I know." He paused, then added, "It's about who didn't get one." That was the part neither of us said aloud. Tyler, Dawson, Reyes, Patel, The others. Men who stood where I stood. Some who ran, some who couldn't. Some who waited for someone like me and never got one. I didn't wear dress blues. I wore field gear. My choice. Medics offered to buff the burn scars on my hands before the ceremony. I declined. They stayed, like reminders. They called my name. Gave a speech. Someone clapped. I tuned most of it out. But when they pinned the medal on, I looked out and saw Lewin standing at the back of the crowd, next to the new recruits. He pointed at me, then whispered something to the guy beside him. I read his lips. That's him. That's the one who ran into the fire. After the ceremony, I didn't stay. I walked back to the tank, sat on the armor, staring at the ground. Vale showed up. He hadn't said much since transferring to comms rotation. You did good, he said. I don't feel good. You're not supposed to. That's how I know it's real. We sat in silence a while. Then he said, you changed things, right? What things? This unit, these men. Hell, even Merrick. I didn't answer. He continued, they used to laugh at you, now they quote you. Brave enough is written on 3 ammo lockers and a barracks door. That hit me harder than the medal. Because medals fade, but words last. That night, I pulled out Dawson's letter again. Read it slowly. I finally understood why he wrote it. It wasn't about thanking me. It was about passing the torch, letting go. I wasn't the guy who needed saving anymore. I was the one who showed up, even when the fire was too close, even when fear was louder than orders. I took the medal out of its box and hung it inside the tank. Not on the outside, not for show. Just where I'd see it before every op, where it belonged, with the steel, with the heat, with the ghosts. And underneath it, I scratched 4 words into the interior plate. No one burns alone. 6 months later, I was leading ops, across 3 zones. Iron 3 had grown, not just in size, but in reputation. What used to be a ragged armor crew was now the team other teams called when things got too hot, when the mission was collapsing, when the smoke was thick and command had run out of orders. They called us then, because they knew. Rourke's people show up. We didn't always have the best gear. Our tanks weren't new, but every inch of armor carried stories, patches welded, over shell holes, burn marks on the hatches, names etched into side panels. Every line told the truth. We'd been there. We went back, and we didn't lose people without trying to carry them out. One night, we got word a new crew was arriving from base, replacements, fresh out of training. I walked down to meet them myself. I didn't need them to salute, I just needed to see their eyes. One of them stepped forward. She couldn't have been more than 20. Sergeant Rourke? I nodded. I read about you, she said. The tank, the fire. They said you weren't supposed to survive that. I looked at her. No one's supposed to survive fire. That's the point. You survived despite it. She blinked. How? I didn't give her a speech. I just said, because someone has to be the first to move. She didn't ask more questions, didn't need to. That evening, I walked back to the hangar alone. I climbed up the tank, same one from day one, rebuilt, re-welded, mine now. I opened the hatch, dropped inside, and sat there in silence. The silver star still hung near the control panel. Beside it, Dawson's letter. Underneath that, the steel plate etched with 4 simple words. No one burns alone. I traced them, with my fingers, not to remember what I'd done, but to remind myself what I hadn't. I didn't run for glory. I didn't run for medals. I ran because a man I respected once looked me in the eye and said, "You're not brave enough." And instead of proving him wrong with words, I ran toward the flames and pulled people through them. If you've ever been told you weren't enough, if they ever said you'd freeze, that you'd fall apart when it mattered, let them talk. Then, run into the fire, because bravery isn't loud, it's not fearless, it's not clean. Bravery is dragging someone out when your hands are burning. It's standing up when everyone else says, wait. It's proving the only person you need to believe in for is you. If this story made you feel anything, drop 1 word below. The word that sums up what you do when it's your turn to move. Would it be ready? Would it be enough? Would it be move? And if you want more stories about silent legends, quiet leaders, and the ones who run toward the flame, subscribe. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just not stop.